Are you feeling like a lone wolf in the HR consulting jungle? Are you struggling to land clients or feeling invisible at networking events? Well, fear not, fellow freelancers. Today's episode is your guide to becoming a networking ninja. We're going to talk about what networking is, why you should do it, the different types of networking you can do, and what the advantages and disadvantages of these different types of networking events are. We're also going to talk about how to make the most of networking, how to nail your elevator pitch, and much, much more. Plus, we'll have another edition of LinkedIn, What's Hot, What's Not. So strap yourself in and get ready to explore a potential goldmine of opportunity. After all, your network is your net worth, right? This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show. Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. I hope you're well. This week, you'll find me on the relaxed beaches of Brazil in Florianopolis, which is a welcome break from all the cities and the hustle and bustle of Argentina. Before I got here, though, I was exploring the Iguazu Falls on the border of Brazil and Argentina, and let me tell you, it was honestly one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. If you ever get the opportunity to see it, to see one of the natural 7 wonders of the world, then take that opportunity with both hands. It's honestly fantastic. But that's enough about me. Let's get down to business, shall we? Networking. For those unfamiliar, it's about building relationships with people in your industry or your related fields, which on the face of it sounds pretty simple, right? But for many HR consultants, and perhaps you too, it can feel like pulling teeth. But here's the thing. Networking is a potential lifeblood of your consulting business. It can generate leads, build trust, and ultimately land those dream clients. Now, networking doesn't just mean awkward small talk at conferences. There are tons of ways to connect. We've got in-person events like conferences, meetups, industry gatherings. These are all great places to meet potential clients and collaborators. We've got online networking, so joining relevant LinkedIn groups, online forums, and connecting with people on social media. And then there's also strategic partnerships. So teaming up with complementary businesses like lawyers or accountants to cross-refer clients. Now let's take a look at each of these in turn so we can understand them better. Firstly, we've got in-person events. Now the advantages of these are the body language and rapport. You can build stronger connections through non-verbal cues and shared experiences. It's much easier talking to someone who's actually in the room with you. I'm sure you'll know this yourself. What do they say? 80% of communication isn't just about the words that come out of your mouth. So yeah, in-person events, that's a real positive for it, is the fact that you can share your body language. There's also another advantage of in-person events is engaging presentations and workshops. So you can gain valuable insights and network with speakers and attendees, but you can also share those presentations and workshops. So you can share your valuable expertise and become seen as a thought leader and an expert. There's also immediate interaction. So you can have quick follow-up conversations. You can spend as much time with these people. You can spend as little time as you want. Unfortunately, obviously, there are disadvantages for in-person events. Sometimes they can be costly. Now, obviously, you can get free events, but free events, they don't tend to be as serious for people who turn up. So if you want the best networking events, generally speaking, you got to pay for it. And they can be costly. There's also the travel and the accommodation, if that's necessary as well. And that can all add up. There's also limited reach as a disadvantage for in-person events. So geography, it restricts the potential connections that you can make. And in today's connected world, limiting yourself to a certain geography doesn't particularly make sense. There's also a time commitment. So you may have to dedicate a half day, a full day, even more. If you're traveling somewhere, then you're at the event, then you're traveling back. Before you know it, that's half a day gone. So examples of these in-person events that we've talked about, there are the HR conferences, there's the industry meetups, there's the local business association events, and there's also industry-specific events, which offer a chance to connect with a more targeted audience. Next, we're looking at online networking. And there's a clear advantage is that you can connect with people globally, regardless of location. So that geographical limitation doesn't exist. It's also really convenient. You're networking from your computer or your phone at your own pace, just chilling out at home. And if someone's talking and you're not involved in the conversation, you can just, you can change tabs, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of LinkedIn posting while people are talking. We've all done it. Online networking is also kind of cost effective, right? Especially compared to in-person events. Many online groups and forums, they're free to join, even if they cost to join. You don't have to travel anywhere. You are at home. So there's that advantage. Unfortunately, as ever, there are disadvantages. Building rapport can be challenging. So it can rely on written communication, or there's a limit of how much body language you can get across, right? There can also be information overload. So if you're filtering through discussions or you're an online event, then they can be time consuming. People kind of, it's difficult to stop them from talking too much. And, as I touched on in the last bit, there are passive participation. It requires effort to actively engage. And, as I say, it's far too easy to just pull out your phone or switch to another tab. Finally, we're looking at strategic partnerships. So the advantages of these are warm leads. These are leveraging your partner's network for pre-qualified referrals. So, if you know any accountants and they're passing people over to you, they're saying, so-and-so does HR, they're perfect for it. So rather than it being a cold lead where they're coming to you and they don't know anything about you, it's from a warm lead, it's from a trusted source, it's an easier sell. There's obviously as well complementary services. So partnering up with people offers a broader range of solutions to clients. So if you worked in, as a HR consultant, you can partner up with an employment lawyer, and then obviously you can pass work to and from each other. There's also shared resources, so you can collaborate on marketing efforts and content creation. You can each produce half a lead magnet each, and then share it with each of your branding and your, contact details on. So yeah, it's half the work for a double amount of the reward. Obviously, there are disadvantages. So finding the right fit. So you've got to make sure that your needs are aligned, your communication styles are compatible, you've got the same values, you've got the same needs, you've got the same wants. There is a possibility that you might have to split profits, so revenue might have to be shared, which that does impact your income potential. And then maintaining the relationship. That requires ongoing communication and effort. It's not a one-time, yay, we're partners, and then that's the end of it. You have to keep going with this person. So that requires, as I say, ongoing communication and effort. Now, I did want to mention it so you're aware that it existed, and you're aware that I'm aware that it exists. But for today's episode, we're only really going to cover building a network through conversations in person or through online meetings. We're not going to be talking about building a community on LinkedIn or other social media or, Facebook groups or anything along those lines. That topic of building a community online, it's a huge topic. So we'll devote a whole other episode to that at some other date. For now, let's talk about actually verbally speaking to people and how you can actually turn "hi, how's it going?" into a meaningful connection, because that's the art of networking. So firstly, try and be genuinely interested. Ask thoughtful questions and actively listen to the answers. People love to talk about themselves. And, if you just let them talk, they will share all sorts of information for you. It's one of the tips in the seminal book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So be interested in the person in front of you, try to understand them, and just let them spill everything that they want to spill. There are loads of advantages of doing this. And, one of them is that you're showing genuine interest, you're building trust, and it helps you understand their needs. It also provides a valuable insight to tailor your conversations with future potential clients and future leads, and it also can help you tailor your elevator pitch, which we'll come on to shortly. And, it also opens the door for them to reciprocate and learn about you. If you actively listen to them and give them that space, they may well recognize that and say, this person is really listening. I'm going to tune in and really listen to them. Now, in terms of how to be genuinely interested, we've got a few techniques for you. Maintaining eye contact is key, and that positive body language. If you've got your arms folded and you're looking all over the room rather than at the person with a nice open body language, that person will understand exactly what's happening. You've also got to try and ask open-ended questions that encourage elaboration. And then you've also, it's a good idea to summarize what you've heard, to demonstrate that you've heard them and to demonstrate that you've understood them. The second tip I have for you is to focus on building relationships, not on trying to sell to someone. The first time you meet someone, that's not the time to bombard someone with your services. Find common ground, build rapport. They might not be the right person for you. So talking to them about what you do and who you do it for and trying to get them to buy from you might be a complete waste of your time. So another tip from How to Win Friends and Influence People is to build a relationship. So people love to talk about their interests and they'll get warm and fuzzy talking about them. And the fact that you're there listening to them, they'll associate those positive feelings with you. And that can only help you build a relationship, right? I mean, we like people that we like and provoke positive feelings in us. So leverage that. Building relationships with people also helps you create a foundation for long-term collaboration and referrals. It positions you as a trusted advisor, not just someone who wants to ram their offers down their throat like a salesman. You come across as a genuine person, and then that eventually makes the sales process more natural and organic. You are not, and you cannot sell to absolutely everybody, so don't even try. Work out who you like, whether or not you like them, whether or not you can help them. And then eventually, you can look to try and sell them. Obviously, if you do try and sell to someone as soon as you meet them, you're going to come across as pushy. You're going to come across as inauthentic. That's going to be your brand. That's what people are going to say about you behind your back. That's what they're all going to talk to each other about. They're going to say, don't go and talk to Karen over there. All she does is talk about what she can do and tries to make you buy. It also discourages open conversation and the opportunity to build rapport, and it makes connections feel transactional. Ultimately, it just feels a little bit icky, doesn't it? Now, all that being said, at some point, it is essential to share what you do in a meaningful and engaging way. And that's what the third essential part of networking is about. It's about having your elevator pitch ready, a concise and compelling summary of what you do and how you can help. Now, this shouldn't be too long. Around 30 to 60 seconds is the ideal point. So let's build one out now. The first thing you want to do with your elevator pitch is have a strong hook to grab people's attention. So start off with a compelling statement or a question about a common HR challenge. For example, are you struggling to keep your top talent engaged? This is a top tip. You can put your hand up as a sign for others to put their hand up too if you're, in a kind of presentation kind of situation. You put your hand up, other people will put their hand up. You might feel a little bit awkward doing it, but just that simple step of putting your hand up will get others too, and that will give you encouragement to continue. And people will put their hand up because people do struggle to keep their top talent engaged. After you've had that simple hook, you introduce yourself and your expertise, so you briefly explain what you do. So, for example, I'm a results-oriented, independent HR consultant who helps businesses create high-performing teams. So your talent stays engaged with their role and the organization and doesn't leave for pastures new, costing you time and money and effort seeking their replacement. Next, you're going to talk about how you do this. And I do that by developing customized employee engagement strategies that are easy to implement, give a great return on investment, and have employees referring their high-performing friends and ex-colleagues to come and work for you. So recruitment is never a problem again. Final step is to have a call to action. Every good post should always have a call to action, and your elevator pitch is no different. So you can start off with, if that sounds interesting, then visit my website, www.thehrguru.com today. Even better, you could direct them to your lead magnet so they join your mailing list, and you can capture and nurture that lead until they're ready to buy from you. After all, people rarely buy from people after one speech at one event, right? One of the easiest ways to get people to get that lead magnet, join your mailing list, is, to have a QR code. So if you have a business card, or you're thinking of getting some business cards, get a QR code on the back of it that can go to, like a link tree or a specific page on the web, on the website, on the internet, and that can lead to all your links. And then that way you can send people much easier, rather than just having to actually type in a website or, anything along those lines. Connects with you on LinkedIn. One last consideration that I have for you, and because obviously we've now covered the elevator pitch and you have the world's best elevator pitch, the one last consideration is whether or not to host your own networking events. Now, there's lots of advantages for this. So before you close your ears and say, oh, I don't want to host my own networking event, there are loads of advantages of this. So you can control the guest list and the discussion topics. You can cater the event to your ideal client profile, and you can position yourself as an industry leader in your local market. Now, those are loads of great advantages. There are some disadvantages. There may well have to be some planning, some organization, and some marketing. You might have to manage the logistics, like the venue, the catering, and the speaker fees. And equally, you might have to worry about attracting enough attendees to make it all worthwhile. As with anything, nothing's perfect. There will be work involved. But, having your own networking events, they can be really great for you. There's some examples here. You could have a lunch and learn session on relevant HR topics. You can have panel discussions featuring industry experts. You can have casual networking events for HR professionals in your area. If you want to, this is a top tip for you, you could have an invite-only event for potential collaborators in the area where you pay for their dinner, you give them a little speech about your offer and why they should choose you as a service provider, and then go back to a casual dinner. It's kind of like lumpy mail, because, there's a little bit of a high starting cost, but if just one person takes you up on your offer, the event pays for itself 100 times over. Now, whether or not you want to host your own events, another step of networking is to actually find events to attend to. So there's loads of those, and we're going to go through them really quickly. We've got online resources. So think about Eventbrite or things along those lines, websites along those lines. Eventbrite is a really popular platform for finding all sorts of events, including many industry-specific ones. Use keywords like HR, networking, business networking, and then add your location in to find those relevant events. You can also check out the app Meetup. This is another great online platform for finding local meetups based on various topics. Again, search for groups related to business, networking, HR, etc., etc. Alternatively, you can look at LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups. You can join relevant groups on LinkedIn, and many of these groups host online discussions, and they sometimes organize offline networking events as well. You can also look at professional associations. So many HR-related professional associations in the UK host events and conferences like the CIPD or the Institute of Employment Rights. Alternatively, you might want to go with the old classic BNI. Obviously, this is online as well as offline, but generally these days they tend to be online. So BNI and 4N, these are the types of network affiliate marking, so where you refer work to each other on an ongoing basis and build that relationship. Speaking of going offline, you might want to join your local business chamber. So many local chambers of commerce, they host networking events that could be a great way to meet other professionals in your area, not just HR specialists, not just accountants, etc. And there might even be specific HR-focused committees within these chambers. There might be specific HR-focused events where you can have a speech, make a speech, and get recognized as a thought leader. There are obviously in the industry publications and websites, so you can check the websites of your target market and check their online resources for event listings or announcements that you can turn up to. Finally, if you work in a co-working space, many co-working spaces these days, they host networking events or they have communities that you can connect with. Additionally, if you follow influencers and companies on social media, many of those share event announcements or host their own offline or online events that you can join in. And then if you really want to, you connect with other independent HR consultants to work through things together. So reach out to colleagues in your field, see if they know of any upcoming events, see if they want to co-host an event with you, to see if they want to go to an event with you, all that good stuff. Now, networking doesn't stop when the last handshake is made. It's all about building long-term relationships that benefit everyone involved. And here's how to ensure those connections you made at an event or online, offline, they blossom into something more. So make sure to stay in touch. Now, I talked about this earlier, but get them on your mailing list. Don't let your newfound connections fade into oblivion. Reach out on, email marketing. If they're on LinkedIn, put the little bell so you get notified of the posts. Even put a little notification in your calendar to give them a quick call every so often. Keep it, or send them a DM. Keep it light, keep it friendly, ask how they're going, share a relevant article you think they'd find interesting, or simply express your desire to stay connected. You can also celebrate milestones together. So did someone you meet land a promotion, launch their own business, or celebrate a work anniversary? Take a moment to send a congratulatory message. You could even send them a card or a gift. It shows that you're genuinely interested in their success and it strengthens the bond. You can also become a connector. So networking isn't a one-way street. If you encounter someone in your network who could benefit from the services of someone else make a referral. This demonstrates that you care about both parties and positions you as a valuable resource. Equally, it's the right thing to do, right? So by consistently nurturing your connections, you build a strong network, and that can open doors to all sorts of possibilities, provide valuable referrals, foster long-lasting professional relationships. Remember, it's about quality, not quantity. So focus on building genuine connections with people you see value in, who you can see yourself collaborating with in future, and someone that you've actually got proper rapport with. And that's it for today's episode. Lots to think about, right? We've covered a load of ground today. The power of networking, the different strategies, crafting your elevator pitch, even hosting your own events. And remember, true networking is about building relationships, not just collecting business cards. So by actively listening, offering value, and fostering genuine connections, you can transform yourself from a lone wolf into a magnet for clients. And that's just the beginning of your HR consultancy journey. Stay tuned for future episodes where we'll dive deep into other marketing and sales tactics and overcome common challenges together. Every so often, you might even hear from experts on topics that I know I'm not as knowledgeable about. Until then, remember, keep marketing, because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing. Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a moment to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes. I've been your host, Nick Paninsky, and if you have any questions or want to know more about today's topic, then reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time. Okay, for this week's edition of LinkedIn, What's Hot and What's Not, I want to talk about engagement pods and whether they're a good thing or not. For those that don't know, engagement pods are groups on LinkedIn where members agree to like, comment, and share each other's posts so more people see those posts. The idea is to con the LinkedIn algorithm. Now, that sounds like a pretty quick way to boost engagement, right? Well, there are two sides to this coin. There are advantages of engagement pods. So there will be increased visibility. Pods can get your content in front of a wider audience, leading to a more organic reach. There's potential for interaction. So engaging with comments within a pod can spark genuine discussion and attract new followers. And also there's a community, there's support there. Pods can foster a sense of community and offer support for new content creators. But it's not all good. There are some disadvantages for engagement pods. So obviously it's inauthentic engagement. Inflated engagement metrics can look suspicious to LinkedIn's algorithm. It can hurt your credibility. They can sort to hide your posts and not show them to anybody. It's an unqualified audience, so pod members might not be in your target audience, and that limits the value of their engagement and then limits the value of the people who see your post because of their engagement. There's also a risk of account suspension. So LinkedIn actively discourages pod use, and they may penalize accounts that participate in pod use. So overall, are engagement pods a magic bullet for LinkedIn's success? Absolutely not. While they offer some potential benefits, the risks are pretty significant. It's better to focus on creating high-quality content that resonates with your target audience and fosters genuine connection. That's just my opinion anyway. And that's it for this week's LinkedIn What's Hot and What's Not. See you next time.